Welcome to the Rebel's Edge. Apple is now just $50 billion away from surpassing Nvidia to become the biggest stock in the world. I'm going to pick Pete's brain about that stock and several others next.
All right. So you're gonna be picking me, huh? I like it. No, I think that's always something like that's always kind of fun. How you doing today, man? I know John's traveling or doing whatever John does, so I'm happy to say that you were nice enough to make the time, and I say that because you are not in anything close to the same time frame as we are here, where I am in Minnesota right now. So thank you for joining us, man. It's great.
Always. And the market sleeps for no one, man. I'm here during market hours. It doesn't matter what time it is, my time.
I'll tell you what, in my lifetime, I have worked many times on the beaches of Hawaii, and it's a little tougher to work there. That's the one thing, but you do a great job of it.
Oh.
It's tougher for me, though, because I'm looking out there going, all right, it's time for me to do a little surfing. All right, let's get on with the Rebel's Edge. Let's talk a little macro. So this morning I was lucky enough to be on with Maria Bartiromo. We were talking about the PPI. We were talking about retail sales. And overall, I thought that the numbers looked okay to me. Some people have different interpretation of how they see it. But, do I think that they're going to have a cut? I absolutely do. I know it's moved around as far as the Fed. It was not too long ago. It was 50-50. It was not too long ago. It was 85%. It was not too long ago, days ago, where all of a sudden it made this nice spike back after being sort of a 50-50 thing to now where it's over 80%. Hey, they're going to get a cut. So it looks like that's what they're going to be delivering to us off of this PPI and retail sales and some of the other things that are coming out. What do you got for your macro today, man?
Yeah, I mean, look, I figured people probably wouldn't care that much about the PPI just because it's a 2-month-old number. It's 0.1% above, right? People care more about the Fed speak right now. Today you have Daily coming out saying they support a December rate cut. Okay, that makes sense. And speaking of the Fed, then you have Scott Bessent saying, hey, there's a very good chance that Trump's going to announce the next Fed chair before Christmas. I wonder if that's going to be a super dovish person. Probably. And some of the names that are being floated, Pete, get a load of this. This is the first time I've seen one of these names, right? We've seen Kevin Warsh, we've seen Waller, we've seen Bowman, but I saw a name floated on Bloomberg today. They're talking about Rick Reeder, the BlackRock guy.
I've heard of that, and I know Rick. You know what? I should actually just give him a call, but I'm sure he can't give me an answer. He's a great guy. I got to know him over the years, just doing stuff, bumping into him in TV and things. It's like that, and the NASDAQ and whatever. Great guy, does an incredible job, and I think he probably would fit the mold pretty nicely for that. So I'm not shocked to hear that name. As a matter of fact, I think in the past maybe that name has been thrown out there before too. But Rick's a real solid guy, and obviously based upon where he's working, I think that alone says a lot about who he is and what his resume looks like. Pretty not so bad. All right, next up. Oh, actually, I'll let you go. What do you want on this fantastic futures? You were talking about that.
Okay, yeah. So here's the deal. Instead of doing futures, right, I actually just have been battling with this question. So Nvidia maybe is going to become the second biggest stock now in a moment, maybe today. And it just seemingly lost this bid to Google, and that's part of a new conversation as well. And suddenly everyone kind of hates Nvidia, right? I think Nvidia is a great name, but I really want to have one big consolidated data center play. And I'm wondering how you like to play the data centers. Do you like using those big names like Nvidia, or do you like using the smaller names that maybe have a little more risk, but maybe have a little more reward? Maybe the IRENs, APLDs, NBISs, etc. What's your kind of take on this whole thing?
Yeah, that's a really great question, and my answer would be this. I don't know how great my answer is, but my answer would be this. Those, for me, are trades. And what do I mean by that? Well, I think a name like Nvidia, it's a solid name. Obviously, it's 7% of the S&P for a reason. And there's a lot of things that you can say very positive about where they are and the maturity of what the stock is, right? Those others, that's where I think that we see all of that craziness and that AI scared side of things where people are selling things. And in some ways, does that make sense? Yeah, in some ways it does, because in many cases, those are names that don't have a PE at all. Or if they do, it's something north of 150. And meanwhile, I was just preparing for something the other day and I didn't get a chance to use it, so I'll use it now. But Meta trades at a 20. Microsoft trades at about a 30 PE. Google's at about a 26. Amazon's about a 28. Palantir's 170. So, when you look at it that way, there are some that I think are investable, and I think there are some that are more tradable. So I'm not afraid to be in things that move up and down, especially when they're a wild ride. Those are some of the most fun trades that we could have. But yeah, that's how I kind of view that whole world, whether it's AI, the data centers, however you want to frame it. But yeah, and throw in crypto just for fun. I'm going to just throw out real quick the VIX and the unsustainability of it over 20. Yes, it pops over 20. It got up to 28 not long ago, got up to 25 again not too terribly long ago. We pulled back a little bit. And where are we today? Back into the 19s. So we get back right underneath that 20. That's something that I think is kind of critical to understand and be there for it, because there's the two things that I always say I look at: the 10-year, which has basically been trading in an extremely tight range just above 4, or looking at that VIX and the fact that if it can't sustain over 20, that sort of gives me a different mental way of looking at where the markets are going and so forth. So in that side of things, I think it's very important that we do keep an eye on the VIX, because I think it says a lot. The fact that you and I were just talking before we came on here, all of a sudden you look, blink of an eye, and the Dow's up 300 points. And why is that? Well, because there's a lot less nervousness than we maybe had. And people are seeing those PPI numbers, and they're listening to the fact that we might get that cut. Well, it sounds like it's getting close again, where it's 80, 85%. So seems like we will. All right, you ready to jump into these things? We got some fun stocks today. I think it's kind of outrageous how crazy some of the stocks are moving today. The first one we can start off with is Abercrombie and Fitch, right? I mean, it's an interesting company. We kind of wondered about these guys. Are they going to be able to keep up? Are they going to be able to be competitive and all the rest of it? Well, with the stock up 30+% today because of the fact that they narrowed down their outlook, that was a big deal for a lot of people. They beat on the top and the bottom, the estimates. Their net sales growth is about 7%. That's not so bad. I feel like everywhere I looked, I feel like, Justin, there was something very strong. Matter of fact, 7 straight quarters of share repurchases as well. So, a lot of people really do love when they see the companies that get out there, they're repurchasing some of their stocks and so forth, and it means a lot to them. And so it tells people that, hey, we like it at this price. Matter of fact, we maybe like it even more than you'd guess, because they didn't expect to. They got a lot of shorts in this name, which is why they're getting squeezed today with the shorts of somewhere between, call it 13 and 15%. What do you think about Abercrombie here?
I think Abercrombie is such an interesting name right now. A lot of these consumer discretionary mall store type names do really well during the month of December, even though we always know December is going to come around. We always know what's going to happen. For some reason, there's just this psychological effect. Same thing with Amazon. They tend to do just particularly well in the month of December. And so it helps that, yes, they are also putting in the work as a company and buying back their stock. Essentially, the past 7 quarters, that puts them essentially ever since they topped out around the 180s. So I think it's a pretty interesting story. In Abercrombie and Fitch, anytime that they're buying back their stock like crazy, I mean, there's no bigger insider than the people who own and run the company.
Isn't that the truth? Yeah, I agree with you totally. How about Google? Google has been basically hitting every single day on unusual options, but not only that, the news lines they're coming out every single day. I mean, Warren Buffett taking a stake in this whole thing, and people get pretty daggone excited about it. They should get excited about it. They have the success of this whole Gemini 3 that a lot of people, I think, just said, oh, it's all about ChatGPT, all these other things that are out there. No, I guess Gemini's doing pretty well. We talked about that yesterday as well, that there are some folks out there who have come out and said, hey, we think the world of this thing. So it seems like Google is absolutely on a roll right now. And, Meta talking about spending billions of dollars on the Google AI chip. I'd say that's a pretty decent storyline just to kind of close up the last 2 or 3 or 4 storylines that are out there. But we did have a couple really incredible, unusual options that were hitting in there as well. And there they are. I mean, just take a look at that. Now, some of them are a little bit closer, December. You also get all the way out to February, great. You get out this other one into March, fantastic. But I got to tell you, some of these have moved so rapidly, it's absolutely crazy what's been going on. So very, very positive. A lot of folks over here at Market Rebellion, are pretty happy about that because the UOA, shoot, there were 2 alone just yesterday, and then we've had them just time after time after time. What do you think about Google here? I think they still got room to run. How about you?
I do too. When you're talking about those PE ratios, this is one that I've pointed out for a while in Google. I think it's so interesting when you look at Costco. By the way, great name, but PE ratio of 49. And you look at Google, PE ratio somewhere around, I don't know where they are today, but certainly less than that. And it's like, okay, you like autonomous driving, Waymo? All right, you like Google. Do you like cloud? You like Google. Do you like quantum? Do you like data centers? Do you like ad revenue and search and the strength of the overall consumer, the economy? You just like YouTube and streaming overtaking the cable? Google, Google, Google. It's such a phenomenal story. And now they've got the TPU thing, which is what you referenced with Meta, which I'm now getting asked questions from people being like, hey, how do you feel about the new argument about TPUs versus GPUs? And you can tell that this is a good chunk of the reason why Nvidia is following is because there's certainly some will Google eat their lunch floating around in the ethos. It's so compelling. I like Google. I think it goes higher.
Yeah, I'm with you. I like it, and I love the unusual that moved in one day. I mean, that never hurts. All right, next up we got Kohl's. Now this is more than a one-day story. They've been beating their earnings for a while now, and they've been kind of surprising people. I think I'm one of them that's been very surprised, quite honestly. They've got this turnaround, and it's actually working. Now, did I think it was working? Not really, but just take a look at what that chart looks like right there. I mean, absolutely incredible, the jump that we had. 34%, something like that. Maybe it's even more by now. 52-week highs, sure, right up there towards 2140. It's pushing right up against there. Their gross margins look pretty good. You know, I've been very critical of them, and they're a local company. They're right out of Wisconsin or whatever, but it's amazing because when I go in there, it seems like it's cluttered. It feels like it's a mess. And my gut tells me these guys aren't doing all that great. Well, it turns out that my gut is absolutely wrong. Their gross margins improved from 39.5 to 51. They had a big beat for Q3. All the numbers they put out there, they raised their guidance. They did everything that you'd want. So you got to be impressed by it. I mean, 3 quarters beating the top and the bottom in a row, not so bad. Their earnings of 10 cents when they were looking to lose 16. Everywhere you go, you just say, wow. Check, check, check. And that's why that stock looks the way it does, which is straight north, going higher.
Yep. Yeah, that chart looks like the Loch Ness monster, just coming right out of the abyss, rising. I got one thing to say about Kohl's. How about that 26% short interest? You talked about shorts getting hurt in A&F. I think similar story here. And by the way, you said it best. Anytime that a company expects to lose money, even if the beat isn't even massive, which this one happened to be pretty large, when they expect to lose money and then they end up making money, the street always loves that, as one would pretty clearly expect. So yeah, going up for all the right reasons. And again, same story. You've got December seasonality in our favor. And oh, by the way, hey, if we keep hearing more about those stimulus checks, I bet that also helps some of these sort of mall retail type names as well.
Totally agree with you. Totally agree with you. Next up, automated technology. What do I mean by that? Symbotic. Now, interesting name. It's absolutely took off today. They are another one where you've got some shorts out there, people who didn't believe. Well, they're not feeling so good today with the stock up over 30%. This one's going to look a little like what we were just looking at. I mean, that thing just took off. And is it at the 52-week highs? No. Is it close? Actually, yeah, it's pretty daggone close. But, you know, when you've got 12 to 15% on the short side of things, I think it's really important that you keep an eye on this whole thing. They've got the outlook for the revenue growth, 25 to 29%. I mean, that's pretty outrageously strong. Q1 2026 will be very interesting. Their earnings, how about that? They put up 53 cents. They were looking for 5 cents. A year ago, they were at 7 cents. So it's where you look and you see a stretched PE to some degree. That would be, if I had a criticism, that would be my one criticism. But outside of that, these guys are amazing. They're doing the right thing. And I think what they put out there as far as their outlook, if they actually can get to those levels, this thing is going to prove to a lot of people that it's a stock worth owning probably in the future.
Yeah, I believe in the robotics story as an investment. And let me just a quick story. A lot of people don't know this. A long time ago, I used to work in a union in a warehouse, picking up boxes and putting them down. This is the company making the robots that will completely eliminate that job. And hey, what a phenomenal thing for the bottom line of those businesses. They have picking robots, pallet robots, autonomous mobile robots. This is, whether people like it or not, this is the future. And, will it be a rocky ride to get to where they say that they're going to get to, where they'll probably get to? I am sure it will. But I bet that if you stretch it out, it'll be up and to the right over time.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I don't disagree. All right, well, I think we can have a little bit of fun now if we want to. I think Jared's got a video for us to check out. That should be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it because, John loves doing this, and this is right in my backyard. JJ McCarthy, he was a neighbor of mine back in the day when I lived in a suburb outside of Chicago. He's been all over the place. He had a great career in a lot of different ways, but his NFL career last year, it was closed in the first preseason game. He got hurt. This year, and he was first-round pick. They traded up and all the rest of it. This year, he just hasn't been able to be out on the field at all. And as a matter of fact, got hurt again. And now he's got a concussion, but it's not going too well for him so far, JJ McCarthy. I still like the kid for a lot of reasons. We could talk about it after we get a little bit of this video in. What do we got here?
JJ McCarthy is struggling. He's got the lowest passer rating in the NFL for a starting quarterback, like by a lot. He's last in completion percentage, TD to interception ratio, passer rating among 33 qualified quarterbacks. No reason to bury the kid, but he's not great at all. But more than that, it's the vibes around him all season have been weird. From how he was really doing in camp, it was like they were hiding or suppressing information, to the fact that Carson Wentz, we discovered, was actually trying to play through a torn labrum before finally going on IR. And then suddenly JJ McCarthy was healthy enough.
He was already healthy. That's crazy talk. So basically what he's saying is they're hiding him because they think they screwed up. I'll throw this at you. I'll tell you what, that picture right there says it all. So this guy drops back on a 5-step drop, okay? And by the time he hits the 5th step, and I was watching this in the Green Bay game and specifically over this past weekend, he gets to that last 5th step that they take on a deep drop. Sometimes quarterbacks do a 3-step drop and they throw the ball. Most of the time they do 5-step or so. So he does a 5-step. He's already getting hit. That's a great example, that picture, because everybody wants to blame this on JJ McCarthy. And I'm not here to apologize about the guy, but I am here to say it's pretty tough to throw the football when you're on your back. And that's exactly what happens. These guys are coming in, they're hitting him. He got hit so many times I couldn't even count them all. And then you come to sacks and everything else. He's not getting the opportunity. That's the problem. And the Vikings don't have a great running game right now. So the threat is, well, we don't have to worry about the run, so we'll just defend against the pass. Well, when you do that, you can send extra people, all the rest of it. And unfortunately, JJ's getting the crap kicked out of him. So I think it's a little bit early for these guys to flush the toilet and say, this guy's out of here, because they could have said that about Daniel Jones. And look where he is, maybe the best MVP of the league. Or Sam Darnold, also in a position where he could be something like that. So, I mean, they give up on these guys, Baker Mayfield and others, because the problem isn't them. The problem oftentimes is the offensive line or the receivers. And so I think people have to understand that. All right, sticking with the NFL, I've got a couple of teams that I wanted to throw out to you that are, I think, rising and continue to rise. And there's one of them that I'm going to question you about to see if you think it's a fake. I think they might be a fake. So the number one team right now, the Baltimore Ravens, what did they start off? They started off terrible, because Lamar Jackson got hurt. the second he got back, let's see, they had lost 4 in a row. Now they've won 5 in a row with him, 15 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. The defense has gotten better, and the offense is on the field, and they're scoring points. So they're winning football games. So for the people who are giving up on the Baltimore Ravens, these guys are on the rise. Watch out. The New England Patriots have been rising this whole season. They've got a great guy in Drake May who actually was able to get in there and step up and have an offensive line. And what was the other pick that they took? Very close to the first round. It might have been first or it was second, but it was this past year. I think it was the first round this year. Left tackle from LSU. That's what good teams do. You give a guy who's a great blocker an opportunity to block for another guy who might be a pretty damn good quarterback. They took him in the first round. He is a good quarterback. Denver Broncos, they have won 8 straight. By the way, New England's won 9 straight. The Denver Broncos have won 8 straight. They got a guy named Bo Nix, who they drafted a lot deeper into the first round than they would have had to. I mean, it's amazing that everybody else is passing on this guy. He was a great quarterback at Oregon, and these idiots all said, no, we'll take a pass. No, we'll take a pass. Well, he's one of the better quarterbacks right now in the league as well, helping out the Denver Broncos. The Rams, here's an interesting thing. They have a point differential, meaning how many points have they made and how many have they given up, right? They are number 1 in the NFL, 127 points more on the offensive side than the defensive side, which says a lot about Matt Stafford, who's got 30 touchdowns. He only has 2 interceptions with all the passing that he does. So interesting. But here's my fake for you, and this is what I wanted to challenge you with. The Chicago Bears, they got a really good record. I think they're 8-3 right now. I think I'm right about that. So whatever it is, here's why I say I'm concerned that they might be fake. Now, their defense is the 6th worst in football. They've given up 292 points in 11 games, so they're giving up a lot of points per game on the defensive side. They're the 5th worst team in football against the rush. They're in the top 3 worst defenses against the pass. So in other words, if these guys didn't have a little bit of, if they had some defense, you could say, you know what, they're just not that great. But right now I'm looking at this team going, all right, the offense is doing their side of it, but the defense is really kind of stinking things up. And if they are, what do they always say when you start getting close to the playoffs and everything else? They're like, defense is what matters. You have to have a good defense, all of that. I mean, nobody really realizes this, but the New Orleans, I keep saying New Orleans, New England Patriots, let me tell you, they absolutely had great defenses when Tom Brady was playing. Tom Brady was great, probably is the GOAT. But there's a lot of arguments that can go out there that still, like me, who'd say Tom Brady is pretty close to being the GOAT, but it still maybe is Joe Montana. Joe Montana played when you could still hit a quarterback. Now, if you touch a guy's shoulder pads, that's like a foul. So it's a different game than it was when Joe Montana was playing. But I don't know. What do you think? Am I wrong about the Bears? When you've got a defense that's as bad as they are and their offense is getting them the opportunity to win, at some point that becomes a problem. And the problem is, when does that happen? Does it get there in the playoffs? Or does it even start to happen a little bit more? I don't know. But it just seems to me that for a team that's always been all about defense, their defense stinks.
Yeah, I mean, I think when push comes to shove, there's a lot of these articles that are saying, hey, Chicago winning the NFC North might actually happen. But when you've got Pete Najarian, a former NFL pro player, saying, hey, not so fast. These guys don't have what it takes to actually make it through the playoffs. I think that's a really, really important observation.
Yeah, it's just interesting because most of the time people all just jump on board and say, oh yeah, this is great, whatever, but we're concerned about the defense. Nobody's talking about their concerns about the defense, and it's kind of weird. So time will tell. Next one up, college football. And we've talked about this one many times, but the idea of head coaches in college, what's the best job a person can have? Being a head coach that got fired, because these guys walk away and they've got $50 million sitting there as they're walking away, and they might even get to another job, and they still get to keep the money that they got fired. So interesting to see. Lane Kiffin is not getting fired. As a matter of fact, Lane Kiffin is the guy who everybody wants right now. He's at Ole Miss. He's been a lot of different places in his career. As a matter of fact, when I was playing, he was the ball boy for the Minnesota Vikings. His father was the linebacker coach for the Minnesota Vikings. So I go pretty far back with Lane Kiffin. Great guy. I like him. He's got a funky personality for a lot of people, but it works. He's a great coach. He seems to be able to have a great rapport with all the players, particularly quarterbacks and the offense and everything else. They're a 10-1 football team. So let me ask you this. Why would he want to leave to go to LSU or Florida or Penn State or whomever else if he's at a school where he can be where he is right now in a great position to be part of the college football playoff? They're 10-1. He does a great job of recruiting there. He can do a great job. It's an absolutely beautiful place to be. It's more beautiful than most of the campuses around the country, I can tell you that. So I just want to ask you, why would you leave? Even if the money's more, if he's making right now, let's say $12 million a year, which I think is pretty close to accurate. He's doing redoing his contract and all the rest of it. But if he can make $12 million and somebody else is willing to pay him 18 or 20 million, and that's not really as far out of possibility as people would think. But I know that's a lot of money, but I would think 12 million might be just fine, especially if you're living right where he is in Oxford, Mississippi. I don't know how much you're spending there, but is it all about money? Is that the only thing it is, do you think, these days, Justin? Or do you think there's something to be said about beautiful campus, beautiful this, great school, good academics, and you're making a lot of money? You could make more money somewhere else, but why? How much money is too much? I mean, when is it enough, right?
You know, I don't think it's all about the money. I think there's probably something to be said once you have a certain amount of money about the pride of building something. And once you already built something up and your recruiting is phenomenal and everything that you've done is great and you've achieved what you want to achieve, there's probably something to be said about, hey, more money's not really going to add more dopamine to my brain. But going somewhere new, starting a new project, coming in and crushing and making some more dreams come true for some more people using my talents there probably means the world, and it's probably one of those memoir things that you write about. I think it's more about the story.
I just think of the days where a Tom Osborne's at Nebraska for maybe 25 years or 30 years, and they've had 3 coaches in 75 years at the University of Iowa. So it just gives you a little idea. I mean, the personalities and how they go. I mean, there's a lot of coaches who are jumping for the money, just like the players. So they better not be the guys who are complaining about this money thing, because these coaches are as guilty as any player for jumping from this school to that school for more money. So it's an interesting world that we live on right now. And boy, money seems to be the leader of all. But I don't know. If I'm Lane Kiffin, I think that Oxford, Mississippi is a damn nice place to be. It really, truly is. And it's a beautiful campus. And he has turned the corner for this franchise. If he goes to LSU, they've been to a lot of national championships. That's who they are. Florida, same thing, right? Penn State, same thing. So he's built up a program that people probably just dismissed years ago, and now all of a sudden they're looking at it going, this guy's really got something going. He sent a quarterback to the New York Football Giants, who's doing really well until he got hurt. But, he's doing all this stuff, and he's got another guy who's just as good. So it's not like he can't recruit there. He obviously can. It's interesting, man. It's interesting.
Pete, real question before you.
Yeah.
Question for you before we cut this here. Would you give it all up? Would you go be a coach?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh,
after all that you've achieved now?
I love what I do. I really do. And nobody would hire me as a coach, by the way, only from the standpoint of my experience level. I have 1 year of experience. I coached at the XFL for 1 year, but while I was trading options on the floor in Chicago. So it was a little bit of a hectic year, but general manager role, that's a different story. That's something where it kind of combines your sports side with your financial side. You get to do a lot of both. So that's something that's really, really interesting. And, just so you know, I've had people call me. I'm just still debating what I'm going to do in life. I'm still a kid. We'll see how things flow.
Same.
All right, man. Well, Justin, hey, thank you so much for joining us today. It's always great. You always bring a lot of energy and a lot of great knowledge, and we appreciate that. So it's a great show, and thanks. And if John or if I'm gone, you are always going to be the #1 call, man. So we'll talk to you soon.
Awesome.